Welcome back to Troubleshooter. Today we're going to go over Irene's Masteries, and just want to do a video about Irene's Mastery. So what I have is I have a form that you could use if you're wanting to go with a battle mage first. And here is the battle mage. It's more fire oriented. It uses the flame bolt, which will do additional damage if your target's burned. It also makes your fires do another 10% damage. This increases your fire by 30% damage. And this makes your firebolt increase by just 50 flat damage plus another 10 damage. It has the hero Irene. So if you're taken down, you have Phoenix, and you'll immediately gain hero. And also your fire attack damage. Well, you'll have an increased chance of hit because of excitement and hero. You can get excitement from if an ally is put out of action. You can get excitement. Other than that, I really wouldn't recommend a build like this, but you can feel free to play around with it. That's the cool thing about Troubleshooter. There's several builds you can use, and some might be more useful in certain situations. This is if you're using more range builds. If you're using why this would be useful is if you're using this ability, Flame Explosion, where you're doing AoE damage to a bunch of people at once, or you're using just the basic common Somersault, where you're tossing like a ball of fire at them and doing fire damage that way, because that does straight fire damage, and that does also straight fire damage. One goes off the ESP, that's the Somersault, and one goes much more off of attack power than ESP. So, and it's also more melee. But still, you may need that general attack. Now, what I use, mastery-wise, is and what I recommend is not using the Battle Mage class, but using the Martial Artist class. Martial Artist class has some really great stuff. It also uses some Fighter in there too. And we'll go to the Mastery here. So for that, I recommend using, here's my mastery board for Irene. I have both Phoenix. Because this is a tank character, some of the things that are important here are counterattack. I think counterattack is great for most melee builds, really. I don't see why you wouldn't want counterattack. There may be a couple reasons why you wouldn't want counterattack. But that won't happen until much later on. So basically, you do want counterattack if you're building a tank build with Irene. And I recommend the Martial Artist class. As soon as you can get it, you have to go through Fighter before you get to Martial Artist. Close combat increases damage dealt and reduces damage in melee. So it's a no-brainer. The Martial Arts manual will increase your critical hit chance, which is good for dealing damage. I use Mutant. You can use just Veteran. Early on, maybe just use Veteran. But I like Mutant because Irene can set herself on fire. There's a lot of status effects in the game. If you're in an area where you can be stunned a lot and you're worried about getting stun locked, I would probably use Veteran. And then if your enemy is using Neurotoxin a lot, like in one of the final missions, I would use Toadskin in support. Anything that will shut you down or you're worried about getting shut down, put it in there. And then think about using Mutant as well. It works really good on Irene because Irene makes fire all the time. So if she's not immune to fire and she's standing in fire, she'll take a burn. It'll do a little bit of damage to her maybe. But then it's going to give her a random buff. It's going to remove the debuff and give you a random buff. Some random buffs can be incredibly useful. I don't like the buff Immortality, but Immortality is game-changing. If you happen to randomly get Immortality, all of a sudden you're unstoppable for 3 rounds. I mean, they can lock you up, but because you have Mutant, there's nothing they can really do to really lock you up unless they're chain stunning you or something along those lines. Repetitive Training is probably one of the better sets for Irene. We looked at the other. There's only 2 Irene sets, and you have to get them through the story, so you won't get them right away. But once you get them, the Repetitive Training from A Million Years of Training is exceptionally good. It increases the body training, muscle training masteries, as well as the martial arts masteries, which are already kind of good in their own right. And especially with martial arts mastery, gives you 2% damage reduction per fighter or martial arts mastery. So, like we have, I think, 8 here. So that's 16%. In addition to the other resistance we have 30% physical resistance, plus we have 12% more from Repetitive Training. So this makes Irene an amazing tank. In addition to that, she has Phoenix. So if she happens to be dropped from multiple attacks, she still can be revived. And she can be revived more than once with Phoenix. If Phoenix triggers, if she has enough time, and she has 9 turns to wait. So if she's put out early, like from a sniper or something like that, she'll come back. And if you can have her hide in place for a while and recover and get rid of revived, then if you go down again, so long as you have some fire SP, you'll be able to come back again. So, Phoenix can happen more than once. Most, like Second Heart and other things like that are only usually 1 use. So that's why Phoenix is exceptionally useful, and she's your only fire user so far that's a human hero. So Phoenix is super useful. I would recommend using it with her. She can use it, so. Let's see. Revenge. I would recommend the Revenge Mastery set. It lets you... The main thing is when attack, damage done by counterattack increases by 100%. If you crit with that, I've done like 11,000 points of damage with a counterattack. It's amazing how much damage you can do with just counterattacks. So really, I mean, even the 50% when you dodge is still pretty good. Still helpful. And then with full heart and full strength, lets you deal armor break on your target, just attacking with rend. So instead of having a 50% chance, you have a 100% chance of getting armor break. Every little bit will help with that. That'll increase the damage that you're doing. Not only the damage you do, but it'll help the damage that your party is doing. And I have Machine Hunter on there right now. You can use Beast Hunter, or you can use something else entirely. But I'm using Machine Hunter right now just because I'm dealing with machines. This lets Irene do a lot of damage to machine enemies which don't have any other weakness. So that's how I built Irene. I hope you found this video useful. If you do, please like the video. And you have a good rest of your day.